And then it was just figuring out, and I tell everybody this, I go, you can go forever if you treat it like a car, your RPMs and your gas. You just keep the gas going into the tank and you don't take the RPMs into the red line.
Smart.
And I kept my heart rate at about 145 the whole time. And, of course, on some of the uphills, it'd go higher.
Yeah.
And I would eat more sugar when I was going, like if I was on the uphills and I'm like, ooh, I kept eating those Stroop waffles, and I would eat them like every 20 minutes. I would have one. And I was just literally like,
how'd
was
you
like,
come up with how'd you come up with that meal of choice out of curiosity? Did you train with that?
I tried a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, you did? Good. Good.
I tried Swedish fish. I tried,
Yeah.
I tried all this stuff, but I will be honest. And I've read all this stuff about ultras where they say it's an eating competition. Once we got into it, like we had 4 stations to stop every like about 15 miles. We stopped. I was eating double doubles from In-N-Out. I was eating, sausage burritos. I was just shoveling food in my face. I was so hungry. I ate 2 double doubles at one stop.
So people ask me always, like, when you finished Kona, what was your first real meal? And it was before I got in the car. I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken and got a bucket. That's the truth. And it was just like, it was a trigger on the way to the car. I'd never thought about it during the race, but on the way to the car, it was like, I got to go to Kentucky Fried. I got to get some KFC. Yep. So it's like, I buy into your double double.
Yeah.
Because
So
you're so tired of the sugar piece, like all of that stuff. It's like, give me something of like real, like deliciousness.
yeah, when the double doubles showed up, I was like, they're like, come on, we got to go. I'm like, hold on, I have to shovel another one of these in my face. And I drank Tailwind. I have to give them props. I tried a lot of different salting, and I've become obsessed with sodium.
Yep.
I just did the keto diet for a while, and I took Element every single day, and to the point where Tailwind was glycogen and salt. And when I was trying the salt tabs, like the pills,
Yep.
I would puke. I would start dry heaving on the side of the trail every time I took one. So I took Tailwind, and it was the only thing I could really stomach. But and that had sugar in it too. But now when I'm low carb, if I don't drink, like I'm talking like 3,000 milligrams of sodium a day at least, my nerves, my muscles start twitching, my nerves go crazy. I'm like, I look like a piece of electrical machinery shorting out. I don't know how everybody's not like, all these athletes aren't drinking incredible amounts of electrolytes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's their age, but
I don't know. So were you on keto when you did your event?
no. I just, I just didn't. I do all these crazy stunts. People always say, "Why'd you run 68 miles?" I'm like, so I could talk about it.
Well, you do get great material though from these experiences. I mean, every time, like your CrossFit experience and that piece that you mentioned when we had dinner back in Madison was just, it was incredible and it was real. Like it's
Which
just
one
like,
was that?
it was something about like you had was it like a heart attack, not a heart attack, but you had like a mini stroke maybe or something.
Oh yeah, Bell's palsy.
That
When I
was
had
it.
Bell's palsy from
Yep.
Murph. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, well, I just did 30. I just did 30 days of McDonald's.
Jesus.
I just did 30 days of McDonald's. I was talking with my buddy. Do you know Mike Anderson from CrossFit Malibu?
No.
Mike's a really smart guy, great guy, and worked at Pepperdine. And he had this theory that you could eat McDonald's not in a healthy way, but not in the shittiest way, like not like the supersized me guy. So I ate McDonald's for 30 days, pretty much eating keto. And I lost 5 pounds of fat. I gained 3 pounds of muscle. All my blood markers stayed the same except for my C-reactive protein. My inflammation went down, and my HB1AC went down. So I got healthier eating McDonald's for 30 days. And but in doing that, you're eating McDonald's. It's full of sodium. once I went off McDonald's and started eating like grass-fed meat and vegetables and staying kind of keto, but adding just vegetables and better quality foods, I went crazy. Like my body was just like I was a shaky mess. And I work with this nutritionist, Dylan Farr, Physiologic, and he was like, "You need to start upping your electrolytes like insanely." And
Hmm.
I would drink like one element, and he'd be like, "No, three." I'm like, "Three? That's 3,000 milligrams of sodium." And he's like, "Yeah, you need an incredible amount of sodium when you're on a ketogenic diet." And so sodium, potassium, magnesium,
Interesting.
because
Interesting.
you no water in your cells, and the like water's draining out of you, and so you just need it to keep going. So, and when I would sodium up, all of a sudden I felt like $1 million. I was like, oh wow, that just really changed everything. So
Wow. It's so interesting to me, just the amount of information out there and what you just don't know. I mean, I've
mhm.
done a lot of things as an athlete and as a coach and read a lot, met a lot of people, and it's just always interesting like having these conversations and hearing people's real life experience. It's like you're finding huge value in it. And it's not that you read about it, you actually experienced it. And to me, that's more credible than some,
Clinical
study with
study.
12 people, right? With 12 people with a desired outcome.
Well,
Yeah.
I've just done what some of my listeners hate. They're like, you bring these experts on your show, Eddie, and then you talk about yourself the whole time. So I have
How
to
many
stop.
how many
But
minutes have we talked about you? 5?
17 minutes. Yeah,
Jeez. Well,
17. Yeah, they'll
Eddie, you
kill
got to
me.
hurry,
I know.
man.
Look, I'm gonna read you a review I just got. Someone just said it. They were like, "Why don't you shut up and let you have these great people on?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I like to talk."
Well, it's been a
Um,
while. Let's face it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
been
I
a
had to
while.
catch you up on the dumb things I've done.
I'm
Uh,
impressed. Well, I mean, especially you doing it with Hackenbrook. I mean, I'm going to tell you a Hackenbrook story. So when that whole like concussion thing came out in football, Tommy Hackenbrook, if you don't know who he is, he was one of the winningest athletes until your boy came along on Stone Cold Challenge or whatever, Broke Skull Challenge. Tommy, when I was with him in Dubai once, I was talking to him around this concussion piece. And I said, Tommy, out of curiosity, he says, how many concussions have you had? And he says, is it the definition of concussion or is it like what a coach would call a concussion? I didn't play football, so I don't even know what that means. He said, well, in my day, a concussion was when you were literally out, like out where the lights were turned off and you were just slipping into a coma. And I'm like, what's the real definition? He's all, when you see stars. I'm all, yeah, okay, so that definition. He's all, I don't know, 10,000. I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah, yeah.
10,000?
I We talked about that I had him on the podcast recently, and we talked because I only played high school football, and I knew I was getting those like my bell would get rung where I would sit. I used to push my helmet in on both sides to try to stop the ringing and stop my head from hurting. And
Wow.
I knew at that point, I'm like, this can't be good. This can't be good for my head. But
Yeah,
you just
that,
think everybody's doing it. It's got to be okay. And I was like, I must just be a pussy because I remember thinking, not that I was good enough to play in college. I might have, been able to play Division 3 or something,
yeah,
but I said to myself, I can't take these hits. How am I going to take a college level hit? And then you
right.
see pro level hits. So someone that played at Tommy's level, and um, I had uh, Jeremy Tooman. I don't know if you know Jeremy. He owns
No,
CrossFit Raw in Pittsburgh. He's a
no,
former Pittsburgh Steeler.
got it.
Has 2 Super Bowls. He told me now the protocol is he coached his son's football team. If they get a concussion, they're out for 2 weeks. And he goes, in my
Wow.
day, he goes, I never would have played. Like I wouldn't. He's like, I would have got a. They would have had me out 2 weeks. I'd get back into play. They've been
Yeah.
like, you're out. Like,
So your
you're out
season,
again.
your season
You're
consists of 16 plays.
Yeah, like you just keep getting back in, back out, back in. So,
Oh, man.
I, have you seen the crazy helmets they're wearing right now
Yep.
in practice?
Yep.
I forget what they call them, the something
Yep.
dome or something. It really looks silly.
Yeah. Well,
It's like,
safety
how
first.
about you just don't hit your heads? How about you don't wear helmets in practice?